And we are back. Another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates. Today, we welcome to the show Mr. Randal Reeder. How are you today, sir?
Man, I'm good. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, man. It's I'd like to tap in early on your expertise on maybe some Bible stuff because it doesn't stop raining. So, like, what happens next with like Noah? Do we got to go find the animals, or like what's going on? It's not stop raining up here in the Midwest, dude.
Hey, man, you got to get some gopher wood, man, to build that ark out of.
Like it was raining this morning when I went out to take the garbage out, and it literally has not stopped raining all day. I'm done with it. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, it's a beautiful, nice start to a Memorial Day weekend for me, at least. So that's awesome.
And where are you at exactly?
I'm in Cleveland. I'm right outside of Cleveland in the suburb North Olmsted, about 7 minutes from the airport. So it's a good little time out here, man. It's fun. I like Cleveland. It is what it is with the weather. I mean, you can't every April and May it doesn't stop raining.
Right. Is Cleveland up north of Toledo and everything?
Yeah, I'm about hour and a half east of Toledo. You got Cleveland's like right here. I mean, I can show you the map, but there's Cleveland.
Yeah, I've been through it. I just couldn't remember. I go been up to Boulder Head a few times to fish and all that. So.
Okay. Livestock, I apologize for the sweater. It's cold out here, man, too. It's like 50 degrees, and I was just going to rock the T-shirt, but I got too chilly, so I got to put on this camouflage, this West Philadelphia camouflage, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so the internet tells me, Randal, you were born in Houston suburbs to a horse trainer mom and a father who either owned or worked at a sweet plumbing company. Is that part correct?
Yeah, family plumbing company, absolutely. I'm a third generation plumber. My dad was second generation. Yeah.
Oh, so you did go into the plumbing business?
I did.
Okay, so was that before we get into the wrestling stuff? Was that coinciding with that? Did you start doing some of that in high school? When did you first start plumbing?
Yeah, and even younger because it was family business. So probably 10 or 11, I was running around, helping the plumbers and then, did that throughout, every summer in high school. And then even, I started wrestling when I was 18, but, so 4 days a week, I'd still work at the plumbing shop. So, until the weekends would come and I would have to jam out for wrestling matches or whatever. But yeah, I did wrestling for a long time.
Okay. Now, are you still plumbing or could you still plumb?
No, I could. Occasionally I do. Occasionally I do. We helped somebody, a friend of ours. We bid a job just super cheap, me and my brother, because he's a CTO of our streaming platform. Our company. So, we didn't let him get fed to the wolves. So, we did did him a good job.
Well, speaking of brothers, how many brothers and sisters do you have?
Just one brother. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, one brother, younger brother, 3 years younger. And pretty much he's a partner in everything I do. He really has my back like nobody else would ever or could ever. So, yeah, it's a good dude.
That's like I'm the same way. I just got one brother, younger as well. I talk with him. I don't talk with him every day, but I mean, we're still pretty close. He was over here. He did one of the shows once with me. He lives on the east side of town, in the place where Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce grew up over there, Cleveland Heights.
Okay.
Great. Now, what did you and your brother, when you was growing up, what kind of games did you guys play? Like by the creek and stuff? You were out there in Texas. We playing Cowboys and Indians, Cops and Robbers. What was the deal there?
Yeah, man. We played a lot of Cowboys and Indians in war. Like we would run around shooting each other with BB guns and pellet guns and stuff like that. Me and my brother and my cousins, man, we used to tear it up.
It's a rubber band. We used to make rubber band guns, and we would just like because I had a paper route, and man, those things would sting, dude. It was and then when I started driving, because I was like the first one of my friends to really get a car, and then I met a whole bunch of people, but like my parents still did the paper route out of that same minivan. So like I'd be driving, they would take the rubber band and just flick me right in the back of the neck. Oh my God, that hurt.
All right.
I hated it, dude. So like, I mean, what do you think would happen if we took the kids from then and put them today, and then the kids from today and put them then? Do you think it'd be pretty much the same? because like our childhoods, you know, we didn't have GTA multiplayer and Call of Duty Online and all that. You know what I mean?
The younger kids seem to be kind of starting to swing back to that a little bit. You know, like I don't think they're quite, you know, like my kid, like my peers were in the 80s. You know, but it seems to be kind of going back that way. You know, I mean, pendulum swing. You know.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Now, were you
the Zeitgeist? You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's going to be a huge at some point. It's inevitable. I mean, if you follow these things, you get a bunch of technology, and there's got to be some sort of technology backlash where everybody's just like, okay, no more AI, and they unplug the computers and go outside, and you know, there's a huge movement for that kind of stuff. At least I would hope. I mean, it's you know, I mean, when we were all locked inside for 2 years, 3 years, whatever the hell it was, a year and a half, you know, that was you learned a lot. But my goodness, it felt good to get back out there. I love seeing people and doing stuff. I mean, you're probably the same way, right? Big convention guy. You like going out and traveling, just seeing people. I mean, I just some people like being, what's the word, introverted. I'm more a day without people is horrible with me. I got to see people. I'm a huge extrovert. Are you the same way?
Right. Yeah, I'm both. You know, I want my alone time or my time with my people, and then you know, and then I want and then I want to be around the right people, the people I want to be around. Yeah, I'm both of that, man.
I feel it. So when you was growing up, were you like a big fan of team sports as well? Or because like a lot of times this is weird, like, but most people who work in the work with their hands, the trades and all that.
Right.
Your picture went away. They usually don't do.
Is it going away?
Yeah, your picture went away. You might just have to hit enable camera or something like that. There you go.
All right.
All right, you're good now. But yeah, but check it though, like, because I got this buddy Johnny Nettle. I was in the garden with him, and him and his dad would build houses and stuff, and he was very handsy, but he didn't give one shit about team sports. Like, I would talk to him about the Browns. He's like, I just don't care. Are you like that too, or were you a fan of team
Honestly,
sports?
man, I don't care. I hardly ever. I have to think about who played in the Super Bowl. You know, I'm just. I wished I was, because I think I ran like a 5 flat 40, you know, in high school, and I remember oh gosh, Louisiana. Gosh, man, my brain. LSU came over and watched me practice. You know, it was kind of crazy. I was in varsity off season. I was on the varsity football team as a freshman, but my dad wouldn't let me play because I had knee surgery in the 8th grade, and so he was like, "No, I'm going to protect your knees because you're fast enough and big enough so you can go anywhere you want." But after playing 3 years of football and never get to play a game, just practicing, I hated that game so much. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that was my, you know, if that's why I don't really like team sports or whatever. I don't really have hobbies, man. I don't watch football. I love MMA, but I don't really watch it. I don't really follow it, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird, man. It's like that. But yet I think I'm more in whatever I'm doing, you know? So maybe a solo type situation is more what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, that proves my theory. Yeah, all the tradespeople or people who work with their hands and stuff, because it's like you can control stuff you're doing. Like if you're plumbing a sink, you can control every aspect of that, from the stuff you buy to the welding, etc. If you're a team sport, you can't control that. I can't control what the Browns do. You know what I mean? I put all my vested interest in that. So I mean, I'm not going to hate on that mindset. But I'm vested now. I'm damn near 50. I'm not going to. I'm not going to change that.
No,
Right?
man. I think it's just different strokes for different folks, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like what's weird is how tribal we get, you know, to where somebody else can't, you know, do things a little bit different. It's like, oh no, man, you're out of our clique. So it's kind of
Bye.
weird. Yeah.
That's great, man. Well, did you wrestle in high school, or what was your like? When did you first get into wrestling? Were you like a fan of pro wrestling? What was your inspiration there?
I was somewhat a fan. I mean, I would watch it with my grandfather. I wasn't a huge fan, but I definitely, I watched it. I watched Mid South and all that a lot. I never really was into the WWF stuff, just because it probably didn't come on the channels that I saw or whatever. I watched it with my grandfather a lot in Houston, and so I liked it. I wasn't, it wasn't like a big dream of mine to become a wrestler. It happened. And honestly, by the time it happened where I could go into being a wrestler, I could train to be a pro wrestler. I really wanted to, get into movies by then. I'd seen, you know, Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jesse Ventura, and he was mowing down the forest with a minigun and all that. And I thought, man, that is super freaking cool. So yeah, I kind of I went into pro wrestling. I used it to get to Hollywood. So I like to think I did what The Rock did before The Rock ever thought about doing it. Of course, he did it more successfully than me. So, I think he's
I'll tell you what, though.
highest paid actor in Hollywood at one point.
No, I mean, The Rock's not doing Joey Edible's show, so I'll always put you above The Rock right now. I'll tell you that. Yeah. So, like, when you're doing that stuff back then, did you was there like was there a specific? Did you like get an ad in the back of a wrestling magazine, or how did you apply to the school? Like, how did you find that part out back then?
Yeah, that's what's interesting. I was just doing concert security. So I was working at concerts and concert venues, things like that, and with a security company. And they asked for volunteers to do the wrestling matches at the Coliseum, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." And a guy walked up to me while I was ringside in a suit, and he said, "Man, you should be a wrestler." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's what everybody says." And he goes, "Well, I'm not everybody." He hands me Ivan Putski's card, and he said, "Call my dad tomorrow." And it was Ivan's stepson. So and he was like the ring announcer or something at this place at the World Wrestling Alliance in Houston, Texas. So I called him up the next day, and he was like, "Why? How did you get my number? Class started 3 weeks ago. You already missed it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, my bad." He's like, "Well, how did you get my number?" And I said, "Your son gave me your number last night." And he says, "Well, how big are you?" I said, "I'm 6'8". He said, "Really? How much you weigh?" I said, "About 320". He says, "Why don't you come see me this afternoon?" So totally changed the tone of his voice. So
That's
yeah,
great.
that's literally how it happened. I mean, I just went from doing security straight to pro wrestling. So
That's so funny because I didn't know you were security, and one of my questions was coming up. Usually, people of your size back then became bouncers. Did you do this type of work? You did that. Was that? I mean, were you like with the firm? Because I didn't do any bouncer type work, but I worked like as a security guard. It was like Burns and Whack and Hut, shit like that. Did you work for like a company, or was like a retired cop, or what kind of gigs were you getting?
I did. I bounced. Did a little bit of private security. Some of it through just people I would meet, and some of it through a company. So I'd work with a company in LA, and they may send me to, I don't know, I went out to Vegas and ran a detail with Jay-Z one in Vegas one time, different things like that. Or it might be some foreign dignitary coming into town and all that. So I did that. I bounced. I did all that stuff, collected, escort, drove escort services, whatever. I mean, I did whatever I could do to make a living, you know, um, while I was trying to send money home to the kids while I was out living out in Hollywood. So
all the big man jobs, right? They stereotype all the big guys in the big man jobs. Now, when you was did
yeah,
you?
I wasn't pretty enough to be a bartender in Hollywood. So.
I ain't enough hair. I'm the same way as you are, man. I'm bald as shit. That's why I wear baseball hats. That's how often do you shave your head? That's a random question, but like when you say you just didn't touch your hair for 6 months, what would the pattern be? Where would it grow?
Oh, I'd look like one of them old men, or maybe Hulk Hogan. I've got definitely. I mean, my horseshoe is way back here, like I don't even know if there is hair here. Like, there's where it starts. So yeah, yeah, no, it would grow out, but it wouldn't be very pleasant.
What do you remember? It was with the GWF, Global Wrestling Federation. It says, do you recall any gimmicks you had? I mean, how long did you wrestle?
Yeah, at Global at GWF, that was on ESPN in the early '90s every day, and I started there as the body snatcher. So went in as the body snatcher. I didn't have a whole lot of maybe 4 to 10 matches as the body snatcher. A short run, because I went in there actually they brought me in, and I was supposed to tag team with a guy called the Soul Taker. And when I got there, he was gone. He wasn't there that weekend. And I'm like, well, hey, what's going on with this? And they said, oh, he got called up to WWF, and he went in as was it Papa Chandra or something? He ended up being the Godfather, but it was
Okay.
Papa something.
Shango, yeah, I remember
Shango. And then they rolled him in, and then they changed his gimmick into the Godfather. And but that's who I was actually supposed to go tag team with. So if I'd have went there, I don't know, a month earlier, I might would have went up to WWF with him. So
that's awesome. I remember the Godfather with the whole train. Yeah, the '90s was so wild with that stuff, man. They just did not care. They would literally bring out women. It's like, oh, here's the whole train. They would just have 4 random chicks walking behind the guy. Here's a pimp. Then did you ever win any belts in this federation? Was that the only thing you wrestled in? Was the GWF?
No, I wrestled. I kind of hit the indie circuits. I had a couple of belts, tag team belts for sure. I don't know. I mean, believe it or not, unless it's the WWF or WWE World Champion, or if it's WCW, something big like that, we don't. You just don't really care, because I was a heel, so pretty much if I had a belt, it wouldn't be for long. It's just to put a baby over and make them look good, and so it wasn't. Yeah, we carried some straps. I carried some straps a couple of times, but not for long.
Okay. Now, did you ever go to any sort of formal acting school at all, or did you just start getting the roles? What was
No, I did. When I when I went to an audition in Dallas, and it was at a studio, an acting studio, KD Studios in Dallas. Oh, excuse me. Kim Dawson, KD Studios. And anyway, so I went in and I read for the part, and it was a kind of a cattle call, but they were looking for like American sumo wrestler or something. And anyway, while I was there, I asked the people up front. I said, "Well, what's going on? Is this a school? How does it work?" And they said, "Well, we can give you a tour if you want to wait around a few minutes." I said, "Sure." So I took a tour with them, and they were telling me how it worked. And I said, "Yeah, I can't go into some 6-month anything." They said, "Well, we do these weekend workshops, where it's just Friday, Saturday, Sunday." And I was, some legends. I mean, there were people, Kevin Costner's, and people would come in, and I did the first one that I could, and it was with a guy named Cliff Osmond, and he's been in, he was an old Barney. I mean, just all these old shows, like from the 70s and 80s, and just been in hundreds and hundreds of shows. He was, a character actor and a working character actor. Anyway, so and he was Armand Arslande's coach, like acting coach and stuff like that. So anyway, I went to this class, and it was just boom. It just it just worked. It just clicked. He kind of said, he's like, man, how long you been doing this? And I said, not, just I don't know, 30 minutes. And he's like, man, you're a natural and all that. And nobody's taught you how to act. And that's a good thing. And because you really just need to be, and, and live in front of the camera and all this kind of stuff. It just worked. And I studied with him for years, just, once a month, every other month, or whenever he would come in. And then when I moved to LA, I studied with him. I took a couple classes here and there, and but yeah, that's mainly it. I would do, workshops with casting directors to see what they're looking for and things like that. But yeah, I kind of kept it simple because I didn't want to go learn. And I was scared to go learn how to act. It was working for me, so I didn't really want to learn some techniques to go deeper and deeper. So.
All right, I feel about it. Now, was the Walker Texas Ranger? Now, was that, how far was that from your house? And did you was that like a newspaper thing? How did you find out about that?
No, I was full blown. That was, by the time that happened, I was wrestling up in Dallas for Global Wrestling Federation, was filmed in Dallas. So I was taking acting classes with Cliff Osmond, and at KD Studios. And basically at that class is where I got my education. Basically, I would, well, how does this work? And they're like, oh, your agent gets you stuff, and you get your auditions. And I'm like, how do I get an agent? And they're like, well, just here, look, here's the top 5 in Texas. Just send your stuff to them or call them or whatever. And I would suggest going with whichever one is excited about you. So I sent it out there, and like Pastorini Bosby and whoever, all these different ones, but actors, etc., called me back really quick, and I went with them, and I was with them for quite a while, and then but that's how it happened. I went and auditioned for Walker Texas Ranger a few times actually, and I actually was like, when they called me, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go back up there, because clearly they don't want me. I've auditioned 4 times, and they're like, no, it doesn't work that way, and because again, I was so fresh and new to it. And I was actually told later that by the casting director, who's ended up being friends of mine really. And they told me that, yeah, man, you scared the hell out of them. Like, you were very intense. They wanted to save you for a bigger role. And they told me that, but I was just like, yeah, whatever,
Right.
And, but actually, I later found out that was true. And of course, they booked me in a bigger role, just like they said. And then the next year I did another one that was even bigger. So it was really cool how I had really good experiences with them. But no, it wasn't out of the paper. It was an agent.
Okay.
By then I had an agent.
Okay. What's the Chuck Norris jokes that you've heard? If you've heard any of them, you got any of your favorite?
God, I don't know. They're so good. The whole, Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the world down. If he falls in a lake, he doesn't get wet. The lake gets Norris. Just like, I mean, it's just, oh my God. It's
Chuck
so
Norris
funny because
right by zero. Right?
I'm still friends with I would say I'm friends with Mike and Eric, his sons. But I talk to Mike more, and I'll send him jokes every now and then. He's like, yeah, Dad loves these things.
That's great, man. Yeah, Chuck Norris, Air Force vet, just like moi. Just want to let you guys know that. But now that Walker Texas Ranger, man, it was a different time, obviously. But that was a lot more wholesome, a lot more morals based, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think we need more good? When I say good, like you can have a wholesome show, but it's just garbage. There's the channels that just sucks. Walker Texas Ranger was good. You know, it was a good show, but it was wholesome. It wasn't all, you know, tits and ass, you know, that kind of stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with tits and ass, but you know, you get what I'm saying here. Do you think we could get more shows like that, or do you think the options are just so unlimited now that we're never going to really get a show like that again?
That's all I want to do is shows more like that. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that. You know, I mean, I would everything I want to produce is like a cross between, you know, Reacher and Walker Texas Ranger. You know, it's like it's you know, it's good enough to, you know, it's something that's hard enough to watch, you know, to engage you, but not so you know, not so hokey. I mean, you know, it's different times. I mean, I look at, like, I love A-Team. I'd love to do my version of an A-Team series, but it wouldn't be quite as hokey as it was back then, you know? So, I mean, Americonic.com is my streaming platform that I've built for the last 5 years, man, or whatever, 4 or 5 years. And it's, and that's really what it's based on, you know, it's just, you know, trying to do content that doesn't embarrass me as an American or as a Christian, or that makes my mom just, you know, turn her nose up at me. So yeah, you know, that I believe that. I believe that's what we need. And I believe it so much that this next show that I'm doing, you know, that we're in the middle of, like, we're raising the funds, but it looks like it's going to happen, and we're going to, you know, maybe shoot in the fall. You know, it's like that, you know, it's a little bit of, you know, a little bit of Reacher, you know, but it's not quite that far, you know, so more watchable for the family.
I love what you said there about making content that doesn't make me embarrassed to be an American and a Christian, stuff like that. Because it's like, my God, Randall, there's some such, and I try to entertain. I do, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I'm just one guy in the garage, but there are some horrible things that people will try to pass off as entertainment. And I don't know about you, and me personally, I'm just a guy in the garage, like I said, and you're just a cool actor who's done some awesome roles over the years. But like, I mean, does that motivate you at all? It does me in a way. I just can't be in a world where, you know, some jackass doing a group dance and going, it's going to get more views than, you know, quality stuff. We're actually talking about stuff that's going to expand your brain, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's horrible to me. That's great. You said that right there.
Yeah, it's tough for me. I mean, it's tough for me to watch TV and movies and stuff anymore. I mean, I kind of have to almost seek them out, you know. Used to, you just go get dropped off at the movies and go in and watch a good movie. You're guaranteed you're going to watch something that's okay. It was, you know, and now there's just stuff that's gotten so bizarre, so weird and so crazy, and just so, you know, like, who are they making this for? And like, it's not for the 80% of America, you know.
Right. So you got Toy Story 6. Indiana Jones 5, or there's a remake of some bullshit movie that wasn't good to begin with. Like, my God, I think outside the box, Hollywood.
I know. Well, I mean, I do get their problem. They say there's only like 12 stories told thousands of different ways, but it's still, just go tell it a different way. You know, I don't get it.
I don't either. But like, when you were just getting, it seems like your next break after the thing, there's in terms of Hollywood and stuff. Were you out in Hollywood like the late 90s and 2000s and all that? What was your living situation? Where were you?
Late 90s. I moved out there in 97, and the wife hated it. My first wife, she was like, "I'll never live here." So ended up moving back to Texas. Got back into wrestling because she was like, you know, we were watching. We turned it on, and I'd quit a couple of times. You know, it's like there should be a 12-step program to quit wrestling, you know, but I'd quit and go back. And one of my times I'd quit, I'd moved off to Hollywood and then came back, and we're sitting there watching TV, and Stone Cold Steve Austin or somebody's up there just, you know, kicking ass. And I'm pretty sure it was Steve. And she was like, "Didn't we used to go to Hooters with him on Friday night?" And I'm like, yeah, we did, you know. And she's like, wow, you think he's making any money? And I'm like, yeah. Steve's probably the highest paid performer in all of pro wrestling right now, and she's like, do you ever miss it? I'm like, yeah, every day of my life, And she's like, and she's like, well, why don't you go back? And, I'm like, because I don't, and I had actually kind of, man, I hate to say it, but I mean, it makes me feel so stupid, but I kind of turned down WWF before Steve and them got it. I mean, not to say I would have, that it would have, had a long run or whatever, but Eddie Gilbert had me, told me, he says, look, you can go to, I'll get you in WWF or WCW one. And when I left Global, and I could have went to either, according to him. And that was in the time that they were pulling everybody up, I mean,
Right.
like, Mark Calloway and all those guys, they were all getting pulled up, and so yeah, I could have done it, but I didn't think I knew my marriage wouldn't survive 300 work days, 320 work days a year and all that kind of stuff. And now looking back, knowing that the marriage didn't survive anyway, I feel like a chump. But I
Well, it's
still try
funny
to
though.
make.
You talk about you talk about Steve Austin, and I remember a line he said he does a show like this one where he just talks to people.
Yeah.
I remember he was talking to one of the recruits or whatever about marriage. And he's like, "I'm on my third," so the same ilk there. It's just the same line, man. Now I think the work-life balance is a little better. I could be mistaken. The wife is the wrestling dork. I know I'm the opposite of all relationships. Usually it's the guy is the wrestling thing and the girl's the wrestling widow, but I'm the opposite. But like, I think the work-life balance is a little better now. But yeah, I mean, dude, traveling how many days a year? They would travel twice on Sundays.
Yeah, it was crazy back then. It wasn't. It definitely. It's not what it is. It was. It's not what it was. I mean, it wasn't sustainable. But yeah, that's what it was back then. Though it was that bad. It was crazy.
And this King of the Hill, man, did you have to do that was that something you could do remotely back then, or were you have to go to the studio? Where did you do all the voices and stuff?
No, I did it in LA. Now, Mike Judge could do it remotely because it was his show, but and he would do it remotely. Sometimes he'd be on the phone while we were doing table reads. He's coming from the center console like Charlie and Charlie's Angels, and then sometimes a couple times I actually covered for him, and I did, his a couple of his. Like, yeah, dang it, Bobby, and I would, I covered for him a couple of times on the table read. I remember. But yeah, I did quite a few of those. I think it shows 11 on IMDb, but I think I remember doing more like 20. But could be more like 20 characters, and I did 11. I don't really know. IMDb is pretty accurate usually, so it's usually more accurate than my brain.
I got IMDb just to get a hold of celebs. I mean, I haven't been on any movies or anything, but it's funny I always love the rankings because like they it's so arbitrary. The show will jump from like, oh, I'm the 1 millionth most popular person, and now I'm 13 million. It just keeps going all over the place. It's great.
Oh, mine goes all over. It's like every time, like like a Deadpool comes out, I drop down to like 4,000 or 5,000. I'm like, whoa, and the people that I'm like above is just insane when that happens. I don't know what I am. I haven't looked. What am I now, man?
Let's take a look. Hold on, I could probably pull that up in about 2 seconds because I'm sure the IMDb is like.
I'm gonna guess like 22,000. I could be totally off.
Yeah, let's see. Mr. Randal Reeder is number. Oh, you're right around there. 24,644th most popular celebrity out there, which is beautiful. Do you?
It just drops when there's one in theaters, man. Everybody starts looking at it up.
Do you know any wrestlers from Cleveland? Lep wants to know.
I don't know. I don't know where anybody's really from because everybody lies about where they're from, from parts unknown. Actually, I think Tugboat Taylor, I think, was from up that way, if I'm not mistaken. And he trained me after, like, he polished me up after Husky's organization went under. I moved over to Texas All Pro Wrestling or whatever, and it was Tugboat Taylor. He's passed away now, but I think he was out of Ohio.
Okay.
Oh, maybe he was Iowa. I don't know. I always get Ohio and Iowa mixed up, but he might have been out of Cleveland. He was a world champion. I don't know, like an Olympic wrestler as well.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, the difference between Ohio and Iowa, just remember the lake. Other than that, it's pretty much about this. We got a lot more rust. They got more corn, basically.
Yeah.
Now, was that like was the King of the Hill like your? I mean, did you consider what do you consider a break for you? Like when you, because it seems like in the mid 2000s you were doing a lot of stuff, of stuff.
I mean, what was the break was Sin City and Idiocracy. So I did Idiocracy for Mike Judge, and I did Sin City for, Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller, right back to back. I mean, back to back. I went home for the weekend. I came back, and I was back on set, and or at least there wasn't more than a week off, and that's when I decided. Keep calling me. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I'm on my phone.
You're good now. You're good.
So, yeah. So yeah, I did. That was my big. I would say that was my break. You know, that's when I decided to move back to LA. Of course, the wife hated it in the '90s. So I was like, "Look, this is it. Like, I don't know if I'll ever have two movies in theaters at the same time again. Either it's like, do you want to?" You and the kids want to go live and starve with me and us make it together? Or do you want to go live in your house behind your parents, up in East Texas? And, the two kids had, like a house on a couple of acres apiece, And so I tell people, if you want your kids to leave and stay gone, don't build them a house behind yours, because they'll come back. But no, anyway, so she said, no, I'm going to live behind mom, dad up in there in Carthage. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to Hollywood and I'll come visit y'all, and then of course that lasted like any relationship would last with that kind of attitude.
2 seconds, right?
Yeah. It wasn't long, and that marriage was over. So,
so the Idiocracy, that's a great one, man. I had on Citric Campos. He was on.
Yeah, Big Citric. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was and it's funny because like a lot of people say that's a documentary. That's turned into a documentary. But I would opine, speaking of sweet roles, man, and I know this might not be your favorite role, but dude, this is one of my favorites. The Big Bob from from Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. And I'm thinking that this movie is kind of turned, and I know it's a shitty thing to say. I hate saying this, but it feels like that's kind of turning into a documentary more than Idiocracy. But we're not going to get political and all that.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like something like this, all right, you're reading this script. Do you go, what the hell, man? It's so stupid. But it's so funny. I mean, do you like what's going through your head as an actor when you're first seeing this ridiculous ass premise, but it's so funny? What do you think?
Which one was Idiocracy?
No, the Big Bob and Harold and Kumar.
Oh, Big Bob. I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those like, wow, really? This is okay. This is what I'm doing, And I did it and sent it off. And it's one of those it's like you want but you don't want, and then of course you get that one, and it's like, oh wow. So now forever I have to have answers like when somebody walks up and says cock meat sandwich. I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. This is my mom. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, literally, I never forget. I was in Honolulu, and me and my buddy Jeff Gretler, who wrote this, him and Wayne Knight wrote this movie that I directed, my first directorial debut of a finished project. And anyway, it won some awards over in Honolulu at the festival. So he and I flew over to Honolulu to go accept awards and all that. And we're walking down Honolulu Boulevard or whatever it is, right there by the ocean. And we're going to Margaritaville so we can have a burger in paradise or something. And two different people yell from vehicles within the 10-minute walk, cock meat sandwich. I'm like, oh Lord have mercy. So.
Dude, that's so fun. I'm sorry, man. I know that's not.
You know what? You know what? Since you were, I got a better story for cock meat sandwich than that, man. Like, I had, I do these cameos every now and then where people pay me to, tell their friend happy birthday or whatever. So, I get a cameo, and this guy's like, "Hey, man, my brother's a huge fan, and his favorite movies that you've done were Harold and Kumar, Guantanamo Bay, and Sons of Thunder." And I'm like, "Wow, that's two polar opposites." And he says, he says, "So could you mention your favorite line? Your two favorite lines are from those movies. So could you mention the cock meat sandwich and then the Do you know Jesus?" And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, in the same video, like, how do I do this? And so I finally, something to this, I recorded it, something like this. I said, "Hey man, happy birthday. I'm no longer in the cock meat sandwich business. So do you know Jesus?" And I'm just like, "Lord, forgive me. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing." I'm like, "Really, Lord?" And he goes, "Well, you are a safe savage." So.
Oh, dude, I can't get it off, man. I can't get it off. And it's funny because like that movie, it's not. I got to be honest, it's not the best movie in the world. It's really not. I mean, the premise is kind of silly, but it has some funny parts. But motherfucker,
Guantanamo.
And the Bob movie, the Harold and Kumar.
Guantanamo Bay. Oh, bro, that's one. Yeah, that is. It's funnier than the first one. It's funnier than the first one. Not just because I'm in it. I mean, Rob Corddry stole that movie. The guy, the FBI agent.
Oh, with the ass wiping of the Fifth Amendment. Fucking hell.
Oh my God, dude! Like, where he's just like, the grape soda, pouring it out on the ground. I mean, it's like, oh my God, that was the funniest thing ever. So, no, that was a really funny movie. It was a really funny movie.
You can't be the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
But, you got to get a reunion for that motherfucker, man. It's so funny. It was so funny, man. Yeah, and I know it's the most random thing talking about that role more than probably a bunch of other stuff, because I know what you probably get. Well, what do you get most? Do you mostly get Deadpool? Do you mostly get that? What's your most when people see you? I mean, because you got a recognizable face. I mean, you walk down the street, you're 6'8", bald with a giant beard. I mean,
it depends on what people are into, but I would say, definitely Deadpool is the most, Deadpool, like, I mean, the most often, I mean, I know this because the people that have sat with me during like autograph signings and stuff at Comic-Cons, they're just like, "Oh my God." It's like, because I don't even know how many times a day somebody's saying, "What's it like working with Ryan Reynolds?" I mean, it was just been that is the number one asked question at this point. What's it like working with Ryan Reynolds? And I was always like, "Oh yeah, he's a great guy," and all this stuff. Now I just have fun with it. Now I'm just like, he's a wretched human being, horrible, worst thing I'll never do it again. I mean, unless they call me again. But and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "No, he's a sweetheart of a person."
That's so funny because I try to not ask I mean, there's some questions you gotta ask, because I mean, it's just whatever, hey, where'd you go, that kind of stuff. But like the how's working with, that's such a mundane question. I mean, what are you supposed to say?
But everybody wants to hear it, though.
It's what they think they want to hear. Because Mindy Sterling, I had Mindy Sterling, and she was like, "Oh, thank God you didn't ask me what's it like to work with Mike Myers," because it's all anybody ever asked me. And that's why I try to, and that was like 4 years ago. So ever since that, I try to not. I mean, all the time I can't do it, but like I try to. If I get somebody to go, "Wow, that's a good question," that's what, as an interview, that's what I like hearing. "Wow, that's a good question," because like I don't want somebody to not have a rapport, be all bored and stuff, because they're never going to remember it. People like you, they might do 20 interviews this week, I mean? You're never going to remember any of them half the time, but if you had somebody who, it's just the sticking out sort of stuff that I like doing, kind of thing. You know how it is. But like, I mean, speaking of like typecasting, though, do you typecast yourself on purpose? I mean, obviously the a lot of biker stuff, a lot of security stuff.
I mean, I gave into it eventually. I mean, I was, at one point I was like, hey, typecast me, miscast me, just freaking cast me, And then it turned into, well, I had to make a decision, 10 years back or whatever. Was I going to try to be, John Goodman or something, like the next John Goodman, and really just, let my acting chops and all that, because he's a phenomenal actor. And, or am I just going to, am I going to lean into this? And I just decided to lean into this. I thought about it. I mean, because I wanted to, I wanted to get those roles, but man, I am so much larger than everyone else. Like, people don't really realize, because I'm 6'7", and it's just, I mean, even John Goodman's a big guy, but he's like 6'4", like 6'3". I mean, he's not, and he looks like a giant, So it's very. I just kind of felt like it was going to be too difficult, and I like these roles, I like playing these roles. So yeah, I just kind of leaned into it,
Well, did you ever have any roles that weren't along the biker, tough guy ilk? Did you ever play like a retired school teacher, some humble something?
I played a cop in this thing with Haley Duff. I can't remember the name of the show. I was a detective. That was kind of cool. I remember I still will always be so thankful to oh gosh, I mean Oliver Stone. I mean, Oliver Stone for casting me as a real person. Like I played this oil rig foreman that fired George Bush off of his rig. That was my thing. And it was just like when I auditioned for that, I auditioned against normal size Hispanic dudes and all kinds of just like a whole range of different people. And that was really cool. It was a cool audition because I got to read against just normal people, and then it was just amazing that he booked me for it. So yeah, that's I rarely get to play just a normal person, so I just kind of haven't given up on it completely, but I don't know. I mean, at this point, when you start tattooing your underarms and all that, it's like,
I got no tattoos, and I was gonna get. It was weird because I was gonna get when the Cavs won the title back about 9 years ago. That's 9 years. That's crazy now, but I was gonna get the champions tattoo, but now it's like, and after a year or two it passed, I kind of forgot about it. It's like, yeah, fuck it. It's too late in life. I mean, I'd rather just give the whatever a tattoo costs, say $200, just give that to the kids, and they can go to the the fun center, wherever the hell the kids do today. You know what I mean?
That's
all right. Now you're gonna hate me, but I have not seen any of these Deadpools, right? And that's
well, I'm gonna hate you for that.
I know you're in all three of these movies, and it's not I have nothing against Ryan Reynolds or not Deadpool. I just I don't know. It was kind of weird because I had a friend who was really lame, and at least I thought their taste was lame, and they really liked Deadpool, and I was like, fuck, if that guy really likes it, it's got movies got suck. So I have to watch it. So maybe I gotta watch it. One, tell me the premise of the movie, any of the movies. Tell me what your role is, and sell me on any of them, really, the whole series.
Well, I mean, it's a beloved Marvel character. I mean, there's more people dress up at like Deadpool at Comic-Cons than anything,
Right.
So, but he's the Merc with the mouth, the whole, he's a mercenary, but he gets ran through the whole superhuman machine and all that, with just like Wolverine or whatever, turned into a superhuman. And so I mean, it's a Marvel movie, but it's different because he's just so R-rated, and just saying they push the envelope so much, and they break the third wall or the fourth wall, I guess, so. But so it's like, it's just different, man. It was so different that it hit, and it was so wanted, and then they didn't mess it up, and then they've just continued not to mess it up and just make it awesome. So even this last one, where you're just like, I don't know, it's the third one, how can they really pull this off? And I was just like, holy shit, this is awesome. So it was really good. I mean, it was good. It's not wholesome, and like I say, I prayed about it before I said yes. I'm like, Lord, are you sure you want me to continue doing these? But he said yeah, so I did.
All right, now is there any? Now these kind of stuff because you talk to these producer types. Is there going to be any more Deadpools coming up, like Deadpool versus Batman or some shit like that, or what's the deal?
I mean, I can't imagine that there wouldn't be. I mean, it's making billions of dollars within days, so it broke records. I can't imagine that there wouldn't be another one. So, but I don't have any inside information. If I did, I would still say I don't have any inside information.
Right, because you couldn't say by law. All right, I know this is a random thing to do, but I really got to take an emergency leave because I get this like fucking condition with something I don't know. But so I'm gonna pull up Angie's question and have you answer this while I take a leak for like 30 seconds, if that's okay. She says, I'm 56. I acted for 30 years in live theater. I had to retire due to my health. So yeah, a lot of physical anxiety. What is your advice for me who is interested in voiceover auditions?
Oh wow, and I mean, I don't know where you're at, but voiceover is hard to get into. It's a hard nut to crack. But man, if you can, it's awesome. I love doing voiceover. I miss it. It was a really good time, especially like I did the King of the Hills, and I think that's mostly the voiceovers that I've done. But the competition is tough in voiceover, and the acting is serious. People think, oh, I don't know if I could be an actor, but I could be a voiceover, and without having the props or the scenes and all that stuff, you really have to say it all, because they don't have the visual. So it's a tough one, but if you can do it, get it done. Get you an agent, get you kind of a reel. I think you can go out and you can record yourself doing different things, and that would help. But I don't really know how to. I stumbled into it, because I made Mike Judge laugh on the set of Idiocracy, and then he says, "Man, you're really funny. I should have you on King of the Hill." I'm like, "Yes, you should." And he was true to his word, as he always has been in my life. And he put me on King of the Hill. So that's how I got to doing voiceover. So I don't know how you would do it otherwise, but just reach out to some agents, find out who it is, and maybe take some kind of course on it, like a workshop or something.
All right, so sorry about that. Much appreciated for dealing with the bathroom break there. All right, now this next part's a hard right from like Deadpool and Big Bob, but like I did my research and you showed it earlier, the Steve Savage Ministries. So are you like are you a minister yourself? Do you just preach? Do you just do outreach work? What's going on with all this?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but yes, I am. I am an ordained minister. I've been, my ordination has been recognized by other ministries, and they kind of watched me for a while to make sure that I wasn't full of it, and I guess they ordained me anyway. But no, yeah, God told me to do this bar ministry. I did it, and it's been incredible. Very humbling to just be a part of it, and it's still going and growing. We go into these bars at 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Sundays and do an unchurchy church service, or we doing rallies, or I was at 2 biker rallies this weekend. We were double booked, and that's why I'm so tired, man. I feel bad about. I feel I feel like this is the worst podcast I've ever done because I'm just so exhausted.
Oh, you are more than fine, brother. I think the audience would agree. You guys could. Hell, Nikki loves you. She's that's fabulous. They're loving it. They're loving it, man. It's great. All right. So you remember the $1 Million Man, right? Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase, yeah. Bumped into him. Actually, I met him the other day in in Albuquerque in maybe November. I guess the time flies. January, I can't remember. Whenever I did the Albuquerque Comic-Con.
Okay.
And he was there, and it was cool to meet him because he was one of the first Christians that I remembered being in wrestling.
I remember I wasn't there, and this footage has got to be out there somewhere. It might be on Daily Motion or one of the other websites. I don't know if it's on YouTube, but it was because this is late '90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. But it was DiBiase, and there was a couple other guys that were. It was some kind of Christian wrestling thing. They said everybody who believes in the Lord come in the ring, and they had a bunch of people come in the ring, and the entire ring just collapsed. I gotta find it. But back to that's cool that you met DiBiase. I was just at one of those Comic Cons, the one up in Detroit, Astro Comic Con, because the wife likes wrestling. My daughter went and saw Trish Stratus, and then Kim saw Diesel, Kevin Nash, and he was pretty stoned. Because I'm a weed guy, I do a lot of weed. Like I smoke a lot of weed, like all the time. I do weed,
right.
and I can recognize high. And my friend Kevin Nash was, oh, dude, and I get it. I mean, because he's went through a lot. I mean, he just lost his son and his best friend, so I get it. But my goodness, he was definitely on the feeling the leaf. But my point about bringing up DiBiase and that he always used to say everybody's got a price, right? If I came to you and said, "Hey, Randall, how much to shave your beard off?" What would you say? Would you say it's not for sale?
Oh, it's for sale, for sure. My beard, yeah, totally. Yeah, I would jump at it if with the price is right, because I would take new photos with it, and then who knows, it might change the direction of my career. I might end up being more of a John Goodman or something. You
need to have a story of where a bunch of people held you down and shaved you against your will, and then you get a bunch of sympathy, and that could be the premise.
Wow.
Dude, that's a good like short. You could do the short, like a short movie.
Or I thought you were talking about like pulling a Jesse Smollett or whatever.
Oh no, nothing unethical. No, just a movie. That would be hilarious, though. It would be funny. Oh my goodness. Well, like someone who's a lifelong Houston, right? You're in Houston now, kind of ish, right? And do you guys ever get sick of the phrase "Houston, we have a problem"?
I never really thought about it, but that's funny. No, that doesn't seem to bother me. Now, what does bother me about Houston is the humidity. It's horrible,
dude. It's like because I've never really lived in Texas, but I'm down there. And Houston, I've only been to the airport. I don't think I've ever been to Houston. My buddy got a buddy in Dallas. I was in San Antonio for a little bit with the service, but I was down in New Orleans there for a weekend. And my goodness, I don't know what the heat in Georgia's kind of the same heat too. I don't know how people deal with it, man. I guess you fight away and just hang out the air conditioning, but yeah. I mean, and I guess me complaining about how cold it was earlier and kind of talking on both sides of my mouth, but yeah, the summer in Texas, dude, it's just, I mean, my goodness. I mean, like when you was growing up, did you guys have air conditioning all the time, or there had to be a time when there wasn't air conditioning? What did you guys do to stay cool back in 1982, or for example, or whatever?
I just think we sweated. Sweat it out, man. Muscle it out. Push through.
Oh, yeah. All right, we always like to close the show with some silly questions, so we'll get some fun ones in here. What kind of dishwashing detergent do you use?
Dishwashing detergent, I guess Dawn, but I feel bad about it. I want to switch to something else, something more natural.
Dawn's the number one answer I get on that question. Yeah. It's probably because it's the biggest. How long could you sit in a library and do nothing before you fell asleep?
Oh, an hour, maybe.
Okay.
Fall asleep. That's a good question, though.
What is your favorite airline you've been on, and do you have a least favorite airline?
Oh, well, I don't know. I actually don't. I mean, there was, I can't remember some kind of air. When I went to Saudi Arabia, that was a freaking awesome airline, but I don't remember which airline it was. And when I went to London, it was nice, but I can't remember what it was. To tell you the truth, it's funny. I for a long time I really loved Spirit. Everybody rags it, but I could fly to L.A. I could buy a ticket from Houston to L.A. or L.A. to Houston for $70-$80, and then I could pay like $50 to $70 to upgrade to the front seat. But now they don't. Now it's like $300 for an upgrade, and I'm like, so. But I actually loved Spirit, man, because I would just fly back and forth to see my wife, and she'd fly back and forth to see me, and now it kind of sucks.
My son Jimmy, he hates Spirit Airlines because we took it back from the Virgin Islands. He's like, they charge you for snacks. That's ridiculous. He hates just the fact they charge you for snacks. And I didn't think about it at the time, because like the airline seats, they got this thing called either economy, basic economy, or super economy, whatever the fuck. It's like steerage for poor people, basically. And dude, and I don't have big hands, dude, right? And I did I probably got average hands. I would say 9, but like I went like this from the seat to one seat. That's about how far it was in that back row, because we were like one row back from back. That's asinine. I had more room in the seats coming back from the desert, and the 130 come back from Kirkuk, Iraq, and I had the economy row on Spirit. And so I'm going to be like you, because you mean traveling, man. They built these airline seats. We got people who are like 5'9", 170 pounds probably.
Yeah.
And when you're 200-300 pounds, 400 pounds, and you're taller, even you're constantly bumping your head. I mean, I'm here in Cleveland, so I don't have any. There's no hub here. We used to have Continental. There's no hub here now. So like we get these little puddle jumpers. I got to walk in here like this, because I bump my head on the top of it, man. It's airlines do better,
Yeah, I agree.
People like us need to get in the office so we could, raise the limit for the heights.
That's it.
I don't like it, man. I like it. All right, speaking of the Caribbean, have you ever been to the Caribbean? And what about the Virgin Islands? Do you got a favorite spot down there?
I've not been to the Virgin Islands. I've been to the Bahamas. Let's see, where else have I been? I don't know. I've definitely been to the Bahamas, and I enjoyed that. Enjoyed that a lot. I don't think I've done much in the Caribbean. Sure enough, I'm gonna hang up and remember like the greatest trip I ever had in the Caribbean. But I've been hitting the head a lot, so I had a few strokes. So
yeah, but we're all of us. That's the little thing we're talking on this tall people kick. But like for those of you out there who aren't tall, get a little secret. Those who are tall, we've been hitting the head a lot, whether we like it or not, just because we were.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'3", so
okay.
I like you're people that like you are. When I look at somebody who's like 6'7" and taller, that's why like okay, that guy's tall. Because there's not too many people who are tall, over 6'7", 6'8". That's usually about the top of it. And then over that, you're in the NBA. I saw a stat once, Randall, which is kind of funny. It said 10% of Americans who are between the ages of 20 and 39, and between the height of 6'10" and 7'3", are playing in the NBA. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. That's wild.
Right. That's just how limited that skill, the jobs are for that stuff, man. There's not too many people, that's all. When was the last time you were at the zoo?
Oh, it's been a couple of years. My wife loves zoos, so we went to the San Diego Zoo, I think. So yeah, a couple of years.
San Diego Zoo. That's a zoo I actually been to. I went out there in 2003, and that's a hilly zoo. That's so hilly.
It was. It was a lot of work, man. I'm like, I want one of them buggies, like some little scooters.
Nikki said she just watched a documentary on Andre the Giant. He was 7'4". Yeah, it's crazy, right? 7'4". I mean, I saw that one thing. I've seen a couple on Andre too, and I've talked to a bunch of wrestlers on the show, and they talk about Andre. Something's just sad, man. I mean, it's not just because, like,
dude, you know what his career-ending injury was, and I'm 90% sure this is true. He actually hurt. He a career-ending injury getting out of a cab in Japan.
Oof.
I mean, just like it's so difficult. Stuff is not made for us, and of course he's way bigger than me.
Oh yeah, he's got a foot on me. Shit, that's crazy. The tallest person I ever seen in like a recreational setting, I'm probably Zdrunas Ilgauskas, because he used to play for the Cavs. It's funny because I saw him once at the Cavs game. We had this bench warmer program thing where you just sat in the seat and they'd all walk by. And the Cavs had Shaq that year, so Shaq and Z walked by. So I look up like, Jesus, these guys are massive. Shaq's like 7'2", 400 pounds. But Z, he's from Lithuania, obviously. And one time, I worked downtown Cleveland, the Federal Building, and we were going into work one day, and it was like 8 o'clock. Everybody starts at 8, so I'd go in there. And he thought he was going to go in there, beat the crowds and just in and out. But if you're not an employee, you weren't allowed in the building before 8. So the poor guy had to go sit over there. And we had a line of 20, 30, 40 people line out the door. And this is the tallest guy in Cleveland, the star center for the basketball team, sitting there messing around on his phone. And everybody's trying, you can't not say it. I know the Zeus over there, so everybody's looking and pointing. I felt so bad for the guy, because the zoo had blood's funny, man. Let's see. Do you know you're big now? We keep going to the big guy stuff, but like car wise, do you have a favorite car? Have you ever been in? I mean, we can't really fit in sports cars, so like, what kind of cars?
Yeah, I mean, I got an F-250 that I love. It fits me right. So that's kind of what I prefer. Like a big, but not all 3/4 ton trucks. But like this, like my year works. The newer years work. I don't have one, but as far as cars, the only sports car I've ever really felt comfortable in, and one that I will have is a Challenger. So I'd like like some Hellcat or something like that. Okay. Some kind of variation of that would be because they're very roomy. Those they're those like the Camaros I can't even hardly fit in. The Mustangs I can hardly fit in, but the Challengers, man, they're really big doors.
I do like the Challengers, man. These roads up here, man, because I had a buddy got one, and it's like those things got no traction on the snow. That's just how it is in snow. Man, I mean, if you're gonna, if you got money to buy a Challenger, usually you're living in a place where there's not snow because you're. Yeah. Let's see. What period of time would you like to live in that you haven't already lived
in? When would I want to live? I mean, I would say the 1800s, like late 1800s. There to me, I could. Yeah, I mean, just towards the end of the Wild West, I could have still went and been a mountain man or whatever I wanted to do, or early 1900s maybe. That would have been an interesting time. When the Harley Davidson started and all that. And all those, yeah.
Turn of the century. What? Who in your opinion? This is a good one for you because you got a very extensive resume. Who are the 3 most famous people you have met in your life, in your opinion?
That I've met? Oh man, I don't even know gosh. I don't. I mean, there's so many. I don't even know. And then the most famous, like as far as being the most famous, I don't know. I tell you what. And instead of telling you that, I'll tell you a cool story about my theory that the more fame, like the more famous, the nicer the person. Most of the time, in my experience. I used to work security years ago for Bill Maher. He had a party once a month. He bought a house next to him up in the hills, and he would just throw a party there, and so that way he didn't trash his house. So he bought his neighbor's house just to throw parties. And anyway, I mean, everybody would come there. Like it was Larry Flint to I don't know. I mean, just everybody. Gene Simmons. I mean, just like I can't even believe who was all there. And I'd walk up to the cars and I would say, my job was to make sure that they were on the list before the valet parked their car, because if they get up there and we won't let them in, then they've got a pissed off pseudo celebrity for 20 minutes to bring their car back. And I would notice that, I would say, hey, what's your name, please? And they'd be like, excuse me, you don't know who I am? And it's some cow One Tree Hill or whatever, some little TV show. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't know who you are. And they'd tell me, and I was like, okay, you're on the list, or you're not, kick rocks. So then I walk up to Kevin Costner's getting out of his car, and I said, name, please. And he goes, should be under Costner +1. I was like, I'm just messing with you, sir. Have a good day. It's like he didn't get offended at all. Kevin Costner was not remotely offended that I asked him his name, and I thought that was I could just tell he seemed like a really good dude, and so yeah, I mean that's kind of how, I mean I've got all kinds of stories about just people that I've met or worked with or whatever, Richard Dreyfuss's and people that are just, that were legends to me, but yeah, I mean Chuck Norris, dude. I mean, how do I top Chuck Norris?
Right. He's like I mean, you can put Chuck Norris on the new Mount Rushmore. Nobody would.
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool.
It's just hard for me to. Yeah, nobody. I bet there wouldn't even be protest if you put him on Rushmore. So yeah, I mean, it's just hard for me to top that.
I feel it. All right, we got a question from Angie. She says, "Who is your hero? Do you have a hero in life?"
I mean, Jesus Christ.
That's a great answer.
I mean, that's who I want to emulate. I want to be more like. So absolutely, that's what I pray every day that I could carry that I carry that title. I heard somebody said that we've got it twisted up with this whole using the Lord's name in vain. It doesn't mean you're using the word GD. It means that you're calling yourself a Christian and not behaving like one. And I was like, ooh, like if you're not being a good Christian, then you're using the Lord's name in vain. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. I'm not saying that's the truth, but it hit me pretty hard.
I would 100% agree with that. I mean, a man is. I mean, I would tend to. You would think the great man is probably defined way more by his actions than by his words. I mean, I can. I mean, especially comics, actors, stuff like that. I mean, I could sit up here and say the worst words ever in the history of the world and mean none of it, but my actions as a father, as a Christian, as an American, like you said, that's what defines me.
Exactly.
100%. And on that lines, if say somebody's out there, right, and they're looking for hope, but they can't find hope. They need something besides the obvious things that people drown their stuff in, besides the booze, besides the whatever. What would you tell as somebody who seems to give people hope? You seem to be a very nice, positive person. I appreciate you coming up here with me. But say you're talking to somebody you just meet and randomly meet in the middle of nowhere, or somebody maybe watching the show today, and they're like, Randal, I got no hope, man. What should I do? Give me some hope. Give me some kind of reason to just be Christian-like and do this. What would you tell that person?
Man, I would advise them to find a quiet place and just literally ask the Father, ask Father God, just like, pray to the Father to, through Jesus, just like Father, in Jesus' name. I ask you said, Jesus said, ask anything of the Father and in my name, and I'll give it to you. Just send your Holy Spirit to draw me closer to you. That way it's not like, oh, I'm going to try and I'm going to do this and I'm going to, it's like that's works. James says, you say faith, that get faith without works is dead. I get that. But like James says, show me, your faith and I'll show you my faith through my works, So, I mean, I'm not all saying that, that we can't, that we shouldn't work. Like you said, our actions are how we're judged but man, just pray, God, make yourself real to me. And then, you can't fake that. That's not going up and getting, excited at a church service or whatever. That's a personal thing, and now that happens, and it may be that you get excited at a church thing, or you may get excited. I mean, because once you do that, then God will move, and that could be in a song that you hear or a chance encounter. I mean, all that, but you'll know.
Yes, sir. Great answer, my friend. Great answer. What is something, or Beatles or Queen? Who would you pick out of those two bands?
Oh, Beatles, but that's a tough one. Queen's good.
I've asked that to over 50 guys. Got to be over 100 people now. Even people like Tommy Chong and Sam Fox. She worked with those guys. So one of these days, whenever I get an editor, I think That's my thing. Is my theory, Randall, is I'm just going to keep doing this until somebody's like, "Hey, I want to work with you," and they'll do all the work.
Yeah.
It's not. I got way. One of my rules is life is too short to edit videos. I'm not here to edit videos. I'm here to talk.
So what's your answer to that? Beatles or Queen?
Oh man, I don't know. Fuck, that's a good one. I never really thought about my answer. I'd probably have to say the Beatles by a hair if I'm really digging deep.
I mean, you gotta. I mean, Beatles are. I mean, they're just. I mean, man, the ultimate boy band who turned into like the ultimate, rebellion, stoner, cool.
Right, yeah, the stoner thing's perfect because like the Beatles got so many songs that just pop when you're high or when you're fucked up. You're sitting you're sitting there with your friends, paperback writer. It's just anthems. And Queen has more of the chilling vibe. I don't know. It's by a hair.
Queen's awesome, but I mean the Beatles are just. I mean you talk about the Beatles and the Stones and Zeppelin and all these just legends.
Oh my goodness, right? All right, we got Dorito here. He says, "So, any white beard tips? What do you have tips for having the white beard?"
Yeah. So I started riding with a bandana around my face when I'm riding because when I don't, my beard starts getting black in the middle from the road dirt. So, so you can actually see it right now. Yeah. So now I have to go shampoo my beard because I rode, I don't know, 50, 60 miles especially on the interstate, without a bandana. And now my beard's turning black.
That's great. Well, Angie said you've inspired her today, so that's good. That's great to hear, Angie. All right. What is, we got a couple two more questions, then we'll get on the road here because I want to definitely get some more weed in me. What is something you haven't done yet you are sure you're going to do by the time you're 60? And what is your advice for your future self?
Okay. Well, I have not ridden across the United States, hitting every state on my Harley that I'm sure that I'm going to do that before I'm 60. And what was the second question?
What is your advice for your future self?
My future self. Yeah, just continue to be more patient. Continue to be more patient. I don't know if I have much, I'm at that point where I kind of think I got it together, which means God's about to pull the rug out from under me and tell me how stupid I am. But I've kind of figured it out that, I really have come a long way and just like slowing it down and going on God's timing and not my timing and not freaking out and not being so anxious, like some important phone calls came on while I'm sitting here and I was like, oh, well, I'll text them and tell them on our podcast, but then the camera turned off and I was like, ah, shit. So, slow it down. So I'm just like, okay, they'll wait or they won't.
That's what I had to slow it down because I'm so amped all the time. I get up in the morning. There's the one scene. I know this is corny as shit, but there's the one scene in Jerry Maguire where the guy goes, the first thing I do is clap my hands and go, this is going to be a great day. And I do that every morning. I swear to God, I do that every morning. I literally clap it and jump up and I say that. I know it's corny, but I'm hyper. The first thing I get up, I just go. I'm go all the time. Asking these guys in the chat. Like I have one speed and that's go. So I like to slow down sometimes. It's hard for people who don't have that off switch. So I need to definitely slow down. Because like, we're nearing that retirement. We got about 10, 12 years. We'll start drawing this Social Security. So like once you get that, then you can do all that fun stuff. But I always look at it backwards. I always look at like, what do people who are on their deathbed in their 80s and 90s say that they love doing throughout their life? What do they say they regret? Nobody ever says, wish I worked more overtime. I wish I, argued with more people online more. People always say, I wish I traveled more. Wish I said hi to my friends more. Shit like that. So I try to do that. I really do. And you do that, man. That's the key to happiness, in my opinion.
Amen.
Hell yeah. All right. Tell me about any upcoming projects you got, stuff to promote. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I've got a TV series we're putting together right now called Nomad. And it's, it's going to be close enough to my last series, Sons of Thunder, which I created. But it's to satisfy the fans and to satisfy me because I really miss doing Sons of Thunder. but not so close that I feel like I'm just, ripping it off, So I'm not quite pulling a Liam Neeson where, but kind of close.
Oh, we got one more question about your
I know my
motorcycle.
niche. I know my niche, man.
What kind of motorcycle do you have? I forgot to ask that.
I like Harley Road Kings, so I ride I think '09 Harley Road King, man. I love it.
Okay, perfect. Outstanding. Well, I
ride it all the time. It's out in the driveway. I put. Good Lord, I don't know.
That's another thing with the Dorito always, because Dorito always laughs at me because I got a Vespa I wrecked a couple years back and I haven't got fixed yet. But it's like it rains all the time in Ohio, and like unless it's like 7. This is me talking here. You might feel the same way. Unless it's like 70 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, it's really kind of too cold to ride. And like it's usually too cold to ride, too cold or too wet. There's only a couple months a year it's really good to ride. And it's like I don't know. I just like I haven't been motivated. I should probably motivate myself. Maybe talking to the beautiful biker Randal Reeder here will motivate me to get that bitch fixed, right? But regardless, Randal, thanks for coming out, brother. Appreciate it. It was an awesome
man. Thanks
hopefully people check out the ministries, check out his page, check out the stuff he's doing. We're definitely probably gonna watch Deadpool as a family because I'm sure the kids will like it. My daughters. Kids? They're 15 and 16, so they're right about that age.
Yeah, they'll like it. I don't know if I'll show it to them, but they'll like it.
But my daughter's got my son maybe not, but my daughter's got my sense of humor, so I think she'll enjoy it. But it'll be a good time. But thanks for coming out, brother. Appreciate it. And don't forget, guys, tomorrow, former baseball player Joe Grahe is going to be on, and next Friday, James Dumont, actor, is going to be on. So don't miss it then, and we'll talk to you guys later. And thanks, Randal, for coming out.
God bless y'all.
Peace.